continuing with this book, The Holy Grail of Wisdom Quotes by me, Pete Rogers, going in alphabetical order. We're doing Frank Smith. Frank Smith was an educator. He was a Harvard-trained cognitive psychologist, linguist, teacher, writer. He emphasized how do people learn. He was very interested in that question and how do students learn in school. He was really good writing about it. My favorite book of his was Insult to Intelligence, but his other book, The Book of Learning and Forgetting, was also excellent. He's lived in Canada, England, Australia, USA. All right, he said, despite romantic notions to the contrary, schools and universities are not good places for learning. And that's actually true. When I think about most of what I learned, it didn't come from school. High school, I asked like about 100 people, what do you remember from high school? Almost nobody remembered anything except driver's ed, how to type, and then they had one or two teachers that were nice to them that they liked and something that they liked. You know, like I remember an English literature teacher who told me, "You're doing well. I think someday you could be a writer." I'm like, "Wow, that was nice." I had no idea what I wanted to do at that age, and it was nice that somebody paid attention to me. Most teachers did not. Okay, but the point I'm saying is everything else was forgotten. You know, you forget everything. They teach math. Math's a waste of time. And you know, I'm a real high tech doctor. I don't use any math I didn't know by third grade, okay? They should be learning other things, how to start a corporation, how to pay your taxes, how to finance a house, a car, how to fix a flat tire, change your oil, all that stuff. Read for pleasure. Okay, because if you get in the habit of reading, you'll just read on your own whatever you want and you'll develop your mind. Okay. Anyways, next thing, Frank Smith. He says, most of what colleges are is just getting your ticket punched. Okay, these are the requirements for getting into med school. You got to take all these classes, pass all these classes. Okay, but you don't really care about learning the material typically. And they're a waste of time. Calculus has nothing to do with medicine. 0% overlap, okay? Same thing with physics. Essentially 0%. Not exactly 0%. Let's say about less than 5% overlap with medicine, okay? Organic chemistry, the way it's taught, less than 5% overlap with clinical medicine. Don't get me wrong, it could be taught better. But the way they teach is memorize a bunch of reactions, synthesize paint, okay? It's a waste of time. It's stupid the way they teach you. Okay, our club now this is Frank Smith. Our club memberships are our identity. The original basis for membership in any club is you're one of us. Only membership in an appropriate club guarantees learning. Not time, effort, or irrelevant incentives or rewards. Meaningful learning requires a club atmosphere. Yeah, think about, you play sports with your friends, you learn the sport. I was a wrestler. I learned wrestling technique, and I competed in wrestling tournaments, and I wanted to get good. Okay, the teacher didn't grade me. My grade came from, do I win in the competition or not? So anyways, that was a good way to learn. The teacher, like the coach, wants you to do well. They're like your assistant, not your judge, your grader. Okay, Frank Smith continues. Learning must be meaningful. If we understand, then we learn. We learn while doing things that we find useful and interesting. We learn by apprenticing ourselves to people who practice what they teach. Yeah, so think about it if you're talking to your father or something when you're a kid. You learn when your parents talk to you, okay? You go play tennis, you learn how to play tennis. The consequences of worthwhile learning are obvious. Like the way you learn medicine is by making rounds with doctors that got more experience than you do. That's how you learn conventional clinical medicine. Okay, the next one is the consequences of worthwhile learning are obvious. Okay, yeah, if you want to learn something, it's not like the test is on Friday. No, you want to learn. Like you want to learn how to talk to girls. You'll read that book, you pay attention. Okay, you want to learn how to get along with women as you get older. Watch the videos of the dating coaches. You'll pay attention. And as soon as you get experience, you're like, oh my gosh, they're telling me the truth. Everything I learned in school about women's not true. That's valuable information for a young guy. It can save you the pain and financial loss of divorce. Okay, Frank Smith continues. Children can't learn anything worthwhile, one fragment at a time, trivialized and decontextualized. But an industry has developed that is dedicated to confining children in precisely that way. The activities are always decontextualized, fragmented, and trivial, engaged in only for the sake of the mark and for getting through the day. The activities have no immediate utility, relevance, or sense. Yeah, I knew when I was young, I used to hate school. And I didn't understand why, but I knew this is not what it's like when I read a book. This is not like what I talk to my dad or my uncles. There's something wrong here. There's something insincere about it. I really hated school for a long time. I would want to run away, ditch. I didn't like it. I was suspended multiple times. I knew it was wrong. I didn't know how to articulate it, but I knew school was wrong. It wasn't about learning. It was about something else. It was about conditioning you to shut up and obey and sit in a corner while some lady you don't even know is babbling on about a bunch of stuff that's meaningless and irrelevant. And you're like, why am I forced to be in this room? I hate this. That's how I used to think in school. I hated it. And I knew it was BS. I'm like, who cares about all this stuff? Why do I have to get graded on what this lady says? This has got nothing to do with me. I can't understand why this is of any reason that I must be taught this. They teach you history based on memorizing the dates, and that's on the test. But what you really remember about history that's valuable is, what did Cicero do in this situation? What did Aristotle do in this situation? It should be the biography of great men, his story, his story. It shouldn't be all this memorized dates and stuff like that. Okay, Frank Smith continues. Anyone who believes that students learn best from systematic instruction and tests, they can say goodbye to teachers. And now that all this junk learning can be delivered by computers, Frank Smith continues, the tyranny of testing increases because testing is a means by which education is controlled. Right. Instead of allowing you to read freely and develop your mind like people did back in the 1800s, they tell you, you must study this. You must study what we tell you. You must obey the experts. You must repeat what the experts say to prove that you have learned this material. But instead of developing the mind, it dumbs you down. Developing the mind is discussion, thoughtful questioning, being interested in something and pursuing it to a deep level. Okay, that's it for part 1 of Quotes by Frank Smith. Hope you found that helpful.